Modesty shorts. We've already mentioned them briefly on the show, haven't we? This is what
briefly. I see what you did there. Very good.
Comedy genius. Which one of us is it? This is what they look like, and some primary age girls have been asked to wear them under their school uniform so that they don't show their underwear when playing or doing sport, and to prevent something called upskirting.
Yeah, but Ofsted chief Amanda Spielman warned that making girls wear them could lead to a culture of victim blaming. We asked parents what they thought about the shorts.
They can wear whatever they like, and that the main thing is to teach all the children to respect each other and their privacy and their clothes.
If it's something that little girls are worried about, then I'm all for them making feel comfortable in their own bodies.
That's super young to have to worry about that, and then that's a difficult conversation to have with your kids as well.
I wouldn't want to make her feel like there was something she needed to feel modest about.
Well, joining us is body image and mental health campaigner Natasha Devon, who says girls shouldn't be asked to change their clothing, and Bryony Baines, head teacher at Kempsey Primary School in Worcester, who thinks modesty shorts could combat upskirting. And Natasha, if I could come to you first of all, I'm surprised that you don't like the idea of this, because modifying uniforms to arguably give young girls the freedom to run around, to not have to think of putting their skirts down or anything like that, feels like something do you be asking for? What's wrong with a simple practical step to allow youngsters to have fun, boys and girls, and run around without having to think about their underwear?
Well, I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying that, of course, if a girl feels more confident genuinely and more free wearing a modesty short, then she shouldn't be prevented from doing so. However, having read a lot of the commentary about this, I can't see that this call is actually coming from children or their parents. It seems to be coming from schools. So I think we need to ask ourselves some questions about what is it that we think we're protecting these children from? What's the worst we think can happen if a 4 or 5-year-old shows her pants whilst doing a cartwheel or a handstand? Is it that, and I've seen suggestion of this, there are predatory adults around, in which case the school is failing to keep those children safe? Or is it because of boys and things like unwanted touching, laughing, pointing, in which case the school is failing to teach those boys about consent? In neither of those scenarios is it the girls' fault. So I wonder why we're asking girls to modify their dress and their behaviour to prevent a problem that they didn't cause. OK, that's
a good point. Let's put that to Bryony Baines, head teacher at Kempsey Primary in Worcester. Yeah, so where is the issue here? Where are the complaints coming from, if you like? What's the concern?
I don't think it's so much about complaints. I go out into the field every day and I'm met by 5 or 6 children running up to me and saying, "Mrs. Baines, look at my handstand, look at my cartwheel," etc. And they're off with their legs spinning round and their head upside down. And I'm saying how wonderful they are because the last time I did a handstand was about 1970. We have a big field, it is fenced, it is perfectly safe, no one can get to the children, but the fence is chain link and we have neighbours whose gardens overlook it. And occasionally I've had the neighbours contact me to say, "Mrs. Baines, look, we're just a little bit uncomfortable because the girls, the boys are doing handstands against the fence and we feel uncomfortable. We feel we shouldn't be in our garden while that's happening." I've never told the children in my school that they have to wear shorts underneath their dresses. This has come from the parents and sometimes from the girls themselves. I'm a little bit fascinated by the pair of briefs that you held up. I haven't seen those before. My girls tend to wear cycling shorts, or there are some fantastic little outfits that are like summer dresses and they're shorts on the bottom. And they've chosen to wear these. They're not wearing them because anyone has told them. And they're not wearing them because they feel victimised.
I mean, that is true, isn't it, Natasha, that it happens that my children both went to primary and secondary school that didn't have a uniform. And Darcy always wanted to wear leggings, particularly in the summer. when you didn't have tights, because she was the sort of girl that did gymnastics and ran around and did those kind of things. So there was a choice from her there because there wasn't the restriction of the uniform. Isn't this just allowing the option to be part of it?
I think we need to acknowledge that it's a little bit more complicated than that. And this needs to be seen in the context of what's happened recently with the Ofsted report into upskirting in secondary schools, and also the Everyone's Invited website. We know that girls are unlikely to report when they're on the receiving end of harassment, abuse and assault because they don't think that anything will be done about it. But between 2018 and 2020, 13,000 reports were made, and 2,000 of those involved perpetrators and victims that were under the age of 10. So we know we have a problem with unwanted sexual attention and sexual touching in our schools. And I worry that we think that Modesty shorts is solving the problem, where it's just a sticking plaster over a much wider issue.
But Natasha, do you buy into this? That Bryony said that she had conversations with just neighbours, innocent neighbours who are in their garden who feel uncomfortable. So they're not necessarily predatory in any way, and there's no suggestion of that. They just feel uncomfortable. I wonder whether some teachers feel uncomfortable. Maybe some of the dinner ladies, will feel uncomfortable. Is uncomfortableness enough of any justification in this argument?
But why? Why would you feel uncomfortable seeing a child's pants? It's that they haven't gone through puberty yet. They're at a stage in their development where they're gloriously unhindered by body shame and by any of these considerations. And you should be able to do cartwheels and handstands and not have to think about those things whilst you still can. So I wonder why these adults are projecting a strange kind of sexuality or uncomfortableness onto these children. It's very odd to me.
Well, it's a very interesting debate and interesting points you've raised, Natasha and Bryony. Good to speak to both of you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.